So at this time, Chief Cox is available to answer any questions that we can. If you guys just raise your hands, I'll just point you out.
Thanks,
Chief?
Thank you. Good afternoon, and thank you all for being here. We understand the public's concern regarding this incident. Anytime you have the number of minors that were involved and the level of force used, it's going to cause some concern for all of us. The officers involved have been detached to administrative assignments, and they will remain there until the administrative investigation is completed. The administrative and the criminal investigation, as Vera stated, are still ongoing at this time. We'll open it up for questions now.
Can you talk a little bit about some kind of contradictory that one officer is telling these kids, get in the car and drive away, and then it seems like they were shot at because they were in the car and driving away? Can you address that a little bit? That
is what happened. They were receiving commands from one officer and different commands from another officer at the time of the incident.
Were these juveniles, do you believe, following orders when they
Well,
drove away?
I'm not sure. I haven't talked to the teenagers. I don't know if which officer they were listening to, but it did appear as though they were receiving two different sets of commands.
This seems to be a little bit different than a lot of the police shootings we see in the area when suspects draw guns and are armed. Does it follow department policy to kind of shoot into a car full of people like that?
Well, that's why we're conducting an administrative investigation. Right now, we have parallel investigations going because we want to make sure that we're investigating whether or not policies and procedures were followed as well.
So earlier in the dispatch call, we heard that a juvenile had a gun on them or firearm. Were these individuals that got in the car, were they the ones that had the gun, or why was the officer going over to these specific people?
We did not locate a weapon in the vehicle.
So why was this officer going toward these people that were getting in the car?
Again, there was a lot of chaos, a lot of fireworks being detonated at the scene at the restaurant, and I don't know why the officer addressed that particular vehicle at the time. That will come out during the investigation.
And did he smash the car's window?
One of the windows did shatter, yes.
What did he smash it with? Was it a gun or?
It was a shotgun, the butt of a shotgun.
Was that the less lethal?
It was the less lethal.
Less lethal.
Okay.
What led him to activate his officer in need of aid?
I'm not sure. I believe it was accidental. Just with everything going on, I think he accidentally set it off.
Can you speak more broadly about when it's appropriate to call out officer in need of aid?
Well, it's appropriate anytime an officer feels like he needs assistance, additional assistance. If it's accidental, then I can't speak to that. But anytime an officer feels like he needs more assistance, then he can press his button or get on the radio and call it out.
Can you talk a little bit about, obviously we saw some chaos happening, and it sounded like it went on for more than an hour before the shooting. At what point do police call in some sort of support? I mean, obviously these officers were not able to get this situation under control for such a long time. Should they have called in, I don't know, like a special, like not SWAT, but some sort of special unit or other police departments for assistance?
That's a great question. This is a normal Sunday, day after the 4th of July, and the officers in the North County Precinct had their normal level of staffing. When they were called for a disturbance, they got there and they realized basically they were overrun. There was over 200 kids there, so they tried to disperse the crowd, get them going in one direction, moving south down towards Bellefontaine 270, taking on a lot of fireworks, a lot of things going on at that time, and then the incident happened at the restaurant. The officers called in an officer in need of aid, get additional cars there. The municipality showed up. When I was there, they stayed all night with us to the wee hours of the morning. So we had a large presence at a certain point. But at the time when the crowd was being dispersed and it became an unlawful assembly, the North County Precinct officers were undermanned and they pretty much got overrun, and that's why they called in additional resources.
There were two different officers mentioned, one 29 years old with 4 years of experience, and one 33 years old with 6 years of experience. Is the 29-year-old the one that had the less lethal, and then the 33-year-old with the shots from the handgun?
I'm not sure.
Is it?
We'll check.
Yeah.
Whatever order it was in the video, which is public, that's the order that the use of force occurred. So it's listed in the order that we saw the less lethal shot and then the shots fired.
Is it normal to have a use of force investigation when there is a less lethal method used?
Yes. It depends on the timing. The Bureau of Professional Standards, who are handling the administrative investigation, and the crimes against persons that are handling the criminal investigation. At a certain point, they have a briefing. They discuss what transpired, and if there are possible policy violations violated, then I can give the authorization for the Bureau of Professional Standards to open up an internal investigation.
Has the investigation been handed over to the prosecutor's office yet for
It has not.
review?
Still under investigation by the detectives.
Your use of force guidelines lists under prohibited firearm discharge at or from a moving vehicle unless the occupants of the vehicle represent a direct or immediate threat to the life or safety of officers or another individual, and then only as a last resort. Based on what you've seen in the footage here, was there a threat to another individual, and was this the last resort?
Well, that depends on what the officer considers was a threat. As far as our policy goes, that's why it's under investigation. The Bureau of Professional Standards will be investigating the administrative portion. They've already watched a lot of video. They'll match the video with some statements, and then they'll all make it make sense for me. So when I get to read it, I've seen it numerous times, then I'll get to make a decision on whether or not I thought the officers performed their duties within policy.
But you've seen it numerous times, as you said.
I've
Do
seen
you
it
have
numerous
a read
times.
on the situation?
Well, I can't tell you what the officer was thinking because I haven't been privy to that interview.
What's the timeline for that internal investigation?
I don't want to put a timeline on it.
Well, are
However,
we
we
close,
still
or are
we
still weeks, months away?
we are close. We are probably weeks away.
Are the actions of those officers that night consistent with the standards of your department?
Well, the standard is excellence. That will all come out during the investigations. I don't want to prejudice either investigation. These officers are due process. Once everything is done and investigations are completed, we'll make the right decision.
But do you feel this reflects your department the way you want it to?
Once the investigation is completed, I will make a statement and I will let you guys know whether or not I thought those officers performed their duties at the standard of the police department.
I've seen a lot of body camera footage from various shootings. I'm not sure I've ever heard a fellow officer yell holster, 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 especially so many times. Maybe it's been said, but I can't recall a case. Can you talk a little bit about why an officer would yell that at another officer?
I would say that that's just leadership. He probably felt like, hey, if there was a threat, the threat is ended. Holster, 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 just giving commands to the officer.
Was anyone hit with a less than lethal round?
I do not believe so.
And I may have missed this, so we released the ages of the two teens that were shot.
Yes, and that news release just went out, so it's kind of buried in there under previously released information, but we did provide their ages. I think they were 15 and 16, but I don't recall at this moment.
Are those the ages, Colonel? 15 and 16.
No juveniles have been charged as far as this morning goes. Do you anticipate applying for any charges against people who were involved in the gathering?
You know, that investigation is still ongoing at this time, so I couldn't give you a definitive answer on that.
Kind of going off of that, what about the homeowners where the pool party originated from?
Well, it started out as a pool party. The street, well, I should say the first precinct will be handling that part of it. I'm not sure if I know they've been contacted, but I don't know if any charges will be levied against the homeowner. I don't believe the homeowner was there, and it turned out to be a teen pool party. This wasn't a teen takeover or anything like that. It just turned into a mass gathering that became an unlawful assembly, and that sparked a response.
Was it like a homeowner's child though, or was this an Airbnb situation?
I'm not sure about that.
It wasn't an Airbnb situation, and at this point, there haven't been any charges against the homeowner. During that entire kind of incident, the North County Precinct did apply for one warrant, unlawful assembly, but we don't believe it was for the homeowner, but they did apply for one warrant. Not exactly sure what that was, but those would be misdemeanors.
Can you talk about that a little bit? We don't often come across unlawful assembly. That's not something that comes up too often in crimes we cover, at least as the media. What has to happen for that to kind of hit that threshold?
You come across them. I guess we just don't call them that as often. But let's just say if you have a teen takeover, you have a mass gathering. I prefer to call them mass gatherings because teen takeover is just like a thing now. But you have a large group, and then people start committing crimes, whether it could be any type of crime, misdemeanor or whatever. And then the officers give commands that, hey, this is now an unlawful assembly, you must leave. At that particular time, it becomes an unlawful assembly where arrests can be made at that time.
So it's the criminal, it's not the gathering, it's the criminal activity
Yes.
happening at the gathering.
Yes.
Chief, you said that the two officers were receiving two different commands. Do you believe that this was just a lack of communication?
He didn't say the officers were receiving two different.
That the big,
teens?
yes, the
Okay.
teenagers are receiving two different commands. They were,
Mhm.
was this a lack of communication between your officers if they were receiving?
I'm not sure if it was a lack of communication. I think the first officer, when he's given a command to go, he's at a distance, and the other officer's coming in the opposite direction. I'm not even sure if he could hear what the other officer was saying, so he started giving commands at the vehicle as well.
Can you speak to how lucky this situation is that nobody was killed? And especially in light of, we hear critics all the time against, people always say at least, follow orders and you will survive in situations like this when it comes to obeying police commands. That seemed to be what these individuals did. They were following the orders to get out of there in a hurry, and just the luckiness that nobody was killed in this instance.
We are extremely grateful that no one lost their life during this incident. We had some injuries, some minor injuries, but still we were extremely grateful that no one lost their life.
We'll take one more question and then we'll let the chief close.
This is probably for Vera. How many police shootings does the department have this year?
This year,
Yeah.
officer-involved shootings this year. I'll have to check with DCI because I think we've had two, but we investigate officer-involved shootings for other agencies. Colonel, do you know off the top of your head?
I mainly mean like county police officers.
Correct, okay, yeah.
I know you guys take on other.
I think it's just two, Wildwood and this one.
One last question. What kind of discipline, if any, could the officers face?
Well, it could range from anything from an oral admonishment to termination.
Are they on leave currently in
No.
this investigation?
Or they're in an administrative assignment. Still working in a job that's not public facing right now. All right, in closing, guys, I'd like to thank all of the St. Louis County officers that responded. There were many that night. Our municipal officers who responded and stayed all night long. To Ms. Vera Clay and her group for putting the video together. And to the families. We had the teen families in here yesterday, and they were able to view the video. And they came in on their own times and watched the video and asked some very intelligent questions yesterday. So I want to thank them as well. Thank you to the media and to the community for your patience. And we will update you when the investigations are completed. Thank you.
Just to follow up, if I may, how did the family react when they saw the video?
Well, I came in and introduced myself, and then I went back to the office and told them to come in and speak to me if they had any questions. But Vera was there the entire time.
Thankfully, the families have been in constant communication with our Division of Criminal Investigations detectives. We have detectives who take these types of cases all the time. They are experts in that communication, and so they were actually very grateful to one of our detectives, Detective Adams, who's leading this investigation, and how he's been able to keep them informed. But of course, to sit and watch the video, it's difficult it's difficult. It's difficult for all of us to watch, so their reaction is probably very similar to your reaction, but we were grateful that they have been cooperative and took the time to come in and watch beforehand. So the link is live. It's already been sent out. The normal public information release with the link has been sent to the entire media list. So if you all have any follow-up questions, please feel free to just email us, and we will let you know when there are updates to this investigation. Thank you.